Hello, everybody, and welcome to Absurd Hypotheticals, the show where we overthink dumb questions so you don't have to. I'm your host, Marcus Lehner, and I'm joined here today by Chris Yee and Ben Storms. Say hi, guys.
Hey, I'm Chris.
Hey, I'm Ben.
So, news on my end. I am moving tomorrow.
Ooh. Fun.
This means a couple things. I am a distracted ball of stress. All of my brain space is in the boxes that I packed up all around my apartment. I am missing my podcast setup a little bit, namely my chair and my desk I've thrown out to be replaced, but not yet. So I'm sitting on my couch with like a little rolly desk, with my laptop and microphone like very scrunched up on top of it.
Well, that's how you recorded like the first episode, right?
Yeah, but that was did I have my desk then? I can't remember. It feels different now that we recorded a bunch of them and I have my like pattern.
Yeah.
And now we're like this, and it's a little weird. But more so than the computer setup, my printer is packed away.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so you two know, I like to print out my show notes.
Actually, I think the listeners know as well, because there have been multiple times where you've had to like frantically like rifle through your papers.
Yeah. Paper noises.
Well, that's the one downside of papers, but it's good for me. Like, I just like it better. I can't like retain information from a computer screen. It's like that part of my brain that's like, good knowledge doesn't come from the computer screen, so you can just dump everything that comes out of this light box and just let it leak out your ears.
It's so much easier, though, to just have it on the screen and then just like scroll down.
But it's not, though. Like, I got like half my screen is like the one part of the show, and half is the other part of the show, and then the third half of the screen, which I don't have, needs to be another part of the show.
This is why you just have two monitors like me.
Well, I don't have a laptop, Ben. It's like one monitor, and it's already connected to something. It's not even good. Well, that's if anything goes wrong in this episode, I blame it on the move.
Yeah, it's good to know that you're going to be on your game this episode.
Yeah, it's going to be real. I'm going to have a real tight performance going on.
Yeah, everyone, please just grade us on a curve this time.
Although I do have one thing that's been bothering me, and maybe you guys can clue me on the mystery of this. So I was driving behind a Jeep on my way back from work today, and I was stuck behind it for a while, so I had a lot of time to ponder this. So it's a Jeep, so it had a tire on the back, and one of those tire covers. So it's a plain black tire cover, and in black letters in like a little white box, it says "no problem." And then below that, upside down, it says "problem" in white letters. So assumedly, you could turn the tire 180 degrees, or the cover 180 degrees, and then it would say "problem," and "no problem" would be the one not in use.
Yeah.
I can't figure out what the no problem is, or what the problem would be, or what's the use case for this.
It's just like problems in general.
But like, is it like an attitude, like, oh, no problem? Or is it like, my car is functioning properly? You don't have to worry that I'm going to like stall out in the middle of the road?
I mean, it could be both.
Okay, legitimate guess here. So what if it's like one of those magnets you put on your like dishwasher to say if it's clean or dirty
or clean?
It's like, this is your reminder that like you have used your spare tire, and therefore the one that's there has a problem.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. If there's a spare tire in there or not.
Oh, I didn't think that you could have a bad tire in the tire case.
There you go. But I mean, I think you should probably just remember that. Like, if you get a flat tire, that shouldn't be something you need to like remind yourself of. Oh,
it's
yeah.
also something you don't need to inform people on the road behind you about. Like, if there's anything wrong with my car that I would want to put a display sign on that said "problem," one, I would just use my fucking hazards, and two, I probably wouldn't be driving my car around.
I like the idea that like some guy could be like really pissing you off, and you get to a red light, and you just get out and slowly walk to the back of your car and rotate the tire cover to where it says "problem," and then walk back in.
But it's not going to help anybody. Like, if you're broken down the side of the road, it's not like it's a fucking bright lit, like, you know, reflective screen that's going to say "problem," like my car's having a problem. It's just plain text. Or maybe they brought it to a car shop and they're like, "Hey, check out my car." And it's like, "Oh, your brakes don't work. So I can either fix your brakes for like $1,200, or I can sell you this tire case that says "problem, brakes don't work." And it's like, well, that's what I usually do. Yeah, that's what I usually do. And they fix but these guys like, let me fix my brakes, please. And it's like, okay, we fixed your brakes. But just in case, we're going to give you this generic tire cover. If anything else goes wrong with your car and you don't want to bring it in, you can just slide this baby around.
I don't know why you have a problem with this thing. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. personally.
Yeah, the guy driving the car obviously didn't have a problem with it either, so it's just me.
Well, Marcus has problem. Ben has no problem.
But we can buy the same tire case. This appeals to all
it's
people.
Genius.
It's very smart.
It can reply to the 99 people that have problems and the one person who doesn't.
I don't think that's how that song works, but you know what? I'm going to let it slide because you're very distracted right now.
with your moving.
Yeah, I packed away my album with that song on it, so it's I can't remember.
There you go.
Anyhow, we answer questions on the show or something? Is that what we do? Hypotheticals? Is that?
Hypothetically, yeah.
They're pretty absurd, I heard. And our first one today is, what if balloons couldn't pop or deflate? Ben, you want to take this one?
Sure. So I sort of looked at the safety possibilities this would give us. So what was really fun about this particular angle is that I went into it thinking I was going to have to do a bunch of like math and stuff. Because, I have to like look at, how quickly a balloon would deform and like how much you have to slow something down for it to be a safe, collision or whatever. And then I realized that because the balloons can never break, basically like the rate that they'll deform, you can pretty much just massage to whatever you want because you'll just like vary like the thickness and material of the balloon and what's inside of it.
Like depending on how much air is in it, it'll be more solid, right?
Right. Well, so we'll get to that, sort of.
Okay.
So you've delegated your hypothetical research to hypothetical researchers.
Yes, pretty much. I decided that they can figure it out if I figure out the applications, because this lets me have more fun. So
I'm more the idea big pictures guy here.
Exactly. Large balloon-shaped pictures. So the first thought I had was external airbags for cars. So sort of the ideal situation, what I'm seeing in my mind is we have all these like automated systems now that like you're coming up too fast on something and your car will like brake for you. What if also like you're trying to brake, it's not getting there, it could just like have some compressed air and just poof up some balloons on the front of your car to like absorb the impact more. That would be great.
Yeah, there's one flaw with this bag, because you could already do this, and if it worked, they probably would have.
No, there's actually several flaws with this.
Okay.
It turns out. That are going to wind up being the flaws with a lot of these ideas that I had. So here's the first problem, is that in this situation, you need the balloon to inflate quickly, obviously. Because, like, if it inflates slowly, you have to have, like, a real, like, hair trigger on this thing. And as we've discussed, these balloons are basically indestructible. So if it goes off and it's a false alarm, you just have, like, big balloons on the front of your car now. You can't really get rid of without, like, losing them entirely, which isn't the best system. So you need a good trigger. And the problem you have is that if you can inflate it quickly enough that it'll actually like be inflated in time, it's a pretty malleable balloon. And I don't think it's actually going to slow down your car all that much. Because it's just going to like depress when it hits the other car.
I have a solution.
What is your solution?
You see, you're thinking about putting a balloon between you and the car, kind of collision mitigation.
Right.
What about collision avoidance? So what you put the balloons on the bottom of the car, and when it detects a collision, the bottom inflates very quickly, shooting your car and bouncing it away.
But I think you have the same problem where if it's going to inflate quickly enough, it's just going to like, your balloon is like thin enough that it's just going to like spread out under your car and do nothing.
Well, it's going to spread on your car and launch your car upwards. And then another balloon's going to inflate on the roof, and then you're going to be like a little bouncy ball bouncing around, which isn't great for the people inside, but maybe it's better than crashing.
I don't think that's how physics works.
Why not just like balloons all over the car? I think that's what this is leading to.
That is, well, we'll get there, sort of. So, sort of, that was the first issue I ran into, is that for generally anything where it would have to inflate like with a trigger, it's not really going to work that well because it's just going to like deform around the thing. Because even though like you can put as much air as you want in this thing without it breaking, but it's just going to get really thin and then the air is going to like go around the thing you're hitting like every time. So that gets to the second thought that I think one of you actually brought up at some point when we were talking about this initially, which is like a bulletproof vest situation. This actually works worse than the airbags. Because the same idea applies, but instead of just, you still hitting the thing, instead what happens is, so say you have constructed this balloon vest where you're covered in balloons. They can be full of these can be like sturdier balloons, they're still not going to slow down a bullet. What's going to happen is the bullet's just going to carry the balloon with it. So instead of being shot with a bullet, you're going to be shot with a bullet that's also carrying a bunch of latex and rubber behind it.
And then it's going to shoot out the other way. It's going to hit you twice.
It's going to slingshot right on back in. You are right. It's not good. So that took away the two main, like, ideas that I had initially, because those were, like, the first things I thought of. I also had a couple ideas. One of the things that I think we also brought up was obviously different materials in there, and one of the ones that came up, obviously, was water balloons. And once again, in this application, I realized this is actually also a terrible idea. Because think about what happens when you, say, belly flop into water.
Ouch.
Ooh.
Which, that happens because you can't, like, cut into the water, If you, like, go in feet first, you, like, sort of cut into it, and you have less, like, surface tension there. With a water balloon, that's literally impossible to do now, and it'll always be, like, belly flopping.
It is a pretty funny image, just imagining someone getting hit by a water balloon and it not breaking.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it will be fantastic, but maybe not useful for, like, safety purposes. However...
Yeah, water has the problem of being really nice and soft until it isn't.
Right. But, so sort of the things that we've learned is that, one, water is... So I guess the material inside, like, the thing inside the balloon definitely matters. We can sort of massage things with that. There are non-water things we could try. Two, you kind of need situations where the balloon can already be inflated, so you can have, like, a nice sturdy balloon that'll actually slow things down. And I thought I had a third one, but I don't actually have a bullet point here. So I'm just holding
bullet
up
with, like, in brackets, like, to be added, add
Right.
third point, important, don't forget.
Well, what's great is I was actually counting my fingers as I did this, and now I'm just holding up 3 fingers for no fucking reason. So I'm going to put those down and proceed to my
Do you
next
count
point.
with your thumbs when you count to 3?
No, I use the pinky, ring finger, middle finger. I do that.
What? God, that's the worst one.
Yeah, that's also weird.
I don't know. It's comfortable. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, anyway. Things you can actually do. Back to automotive safety. You can replace all guardrails with balloons of
All right.
sufficient density, which is much safer. Guardrails aren't very good for the person hitting them. Hitting a balloon guardrail with a car is going to be super fun.
I agree with that. Yes, I approve.
So there is an actual vehicular safety option. The other thing you can do is replace, at, like, off ramps when they have, like, the big things of water, like drums of water.
Oh, yeah.
Replace those too. So I think that's a legitimately workable idea. That could work very well. The other big thing I thought of was any time that you have, like a safety net or, like, a safety mat, like they use in, like, stunts, you can replace that with a giant balloon.
Like at the
Which
circus.
is exactly, which is way more fun.
Aren't they already giant balloons, Ben? Like the big old square inflatable thing? Isn't that just a big balloon?
That one is a big balloon. They're not always balloons, but now they can
they
all
do.
be balloons.
I guess they do already do that sometimes.
I guess they actually do.
What if you filled a balloon with hot air and tied a little basket to the bottom
Ooh.
to transport people?
Oh, novel.
Oh my, this is an idea. This is an idea right here.
People would pay for that, right?
People would pay for that.
Steering's a problem, but I don't know if people will notice.
No one who really needs to steer.
Most vehicles, to be honest. Ben,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry.
probably a pretty good idea, actually. Yeah, so those were really, like, honestly, things that are stationary balloons are actually hard to come up with. Those were the two main ones I thought of. I tried to work out something where you had, like, a double balloon situation, but I could not actually get anywhere with that. The other idea I had was I'm wondering if you have a sufficiently thick balloon, if you could basically make an airtight seal on a room by just having, like, an open window that you fill with a large balloon. Because technically, if you can make that work, that is then the safest, like, zoo window material ever.
Until you run out of oxygen.
What do you
What?
mean?
No, I think Marcus is misinterpreting what you said.
Oh, yes. No, you would not, like,
You're not in like a giant balloon room.
yes.
Oh, that's how I understood it.
No, I'm saying you have, like, an empty window that instead is a balloon that has been filled to the point that it's filling all the gap.
Like you stick a balloon into an open window and then fill it up.
Exactly.
Got it.
I think that would work. It would maybe not be the most effective thing. You should probably just use glass, but
Yeah, I think you also if you can't look through, you've also just designed a
A
wall.
wall, yeah.
balloons can be clear. But
Yeah, they can be clear.
that's, yeah,
Okay.
maybe not that clear. It's a bad idea. I can freely admit this, but I'm not gonna lie. after I thought about the car and bulletproof vest thing, a lot of my safety ideas kind of went out the window. So,
Since we were talking about tires before, I do like the idea of balloon tires that can't pop.
yes, that is a good idea. Is a tire technically already a balloon?
I mean, if I see a tire, I don't call it a balloon, so no.
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't it just like a really thickly walled balloon, though?
No.
It's a tire.
What makes...
I'm getting pretty tired of this semantics talk.
Yeah, well, let's not closely define what a balloon is. So, anyway, that's kind of what I have. Marcus, what do you got?
I actually also explored the world of cars. So, in my head, if a balloon doesn't deflate, what it actually means is that that balloon is no longer permeable by air, so it becomes a very good container. So, what I wanted to do was just to capture all the car exhaust fumes to help the environment.
Okay.
So, all you do is you just take a balloon, you stick it on your tailpipe, and maybe you get a nice clasp or something going. Is this already not working, Ben? Is this not working for you?
Doesn't sound like a good idea to me.
This seems like a very bad idea, but please continue. I want to see where it goes.
So, first off, my question was, you're driving your car, how much exhaust is there and how big a balloon do you need? So, the average air-to-fuel ratio for an engine is 14:1, i.e. it uses 14 gallons of air per gallon of fuel. So, every gallon of gas you burn, you basically produce 15 gallons of exhaust. So 15 gallons is about 2 cubic feet. So if I have a car that says gets 30 miles to the gallon, pretty average for nowadays, and say I drive 15 miles to work, I'll use half a gallon of gas, and I'll get a cubic foot of exhaust on my trip to work, which is about the size of a single party balloon.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
So that's pretty easy to kind of just handle yourself. So, like, you drive to work, the little balloon fills up. Maybe if you have a long drive, you get a bigger balloon. People will know how long you've been driving, so they know if you're tired, if you have, like, a giant balloon sticking out the back of your car.
Just show them the balloon.
It's like, sorry, I'm exhausted. I've been driving for hours. I'm like, oh, have you? And like, oh, my God, look at that balloon.
You're exhausted?
Oh, dude!
Okay, continue.
So, you've now protected the environment. Well, just your little part right there. So the next thing is, what do you do with all these balloons full of exhaust you have? My first concern was actually transporting these balloons places, but I think it's actually not going to be so bad because the exhaust from your car is a bit less dense than air, so it will float. So you can tie them to, like, a truck that'll take it to, like, a boat or whatever, and it can just, like, there'll be a system to get rid of your balloons. Like, you tie them up with your garbage, I guess, on outside, like, on recycling day, and it's just balloon day. Trucks come around just collecting all the balloons.
How much exhaust do these trucks make?
Well, none, because it all goes into balloons. So now what do you do with all this exhausty balloons that you have? So there is a company in New Zealand called Lanzatech that is developing microorganisms that actually feed on carbon monoxide, specifically like in the concentration of exhaust fumes, and are able to use that to produce ethanol, basically turning it back into gas.
Great.
So they haven't, obviously this is their research, they haven't released the exact process, but you can't prove that this isn't infinite energy. So take all the balloons, put all the gas in all the balloons, take all the balloons and put them in the ocean, take all the ocean balloons and bring them to New Zealand, and then turn all the New Zealand balloons back into gas.
And you could probably also do it in places that aren't New Zealand at some point, but yes.
Maybe they expand, open up a new location.
Right. Business is probably going pretty good, so. I do have one question, and maybe this is a thing where I'm misinterpreting how cars work. I don't think the exhaust is, like, pressurized when it comes out, right?
Yeah, I actually don't know enough about how cars work to know if this works.
I don't think it does,
Probably
but
not. I don't know.
but it's a good idea.
But if you have a very thin balloon that's very easily inflated, and if you put maybe part of your gas puts a little pressure on the exhaust to go out. Maybe you just use a little bit of your gas, so you lose like 5 miles to the gallon to pressurize your balloon. I don't know. Some hypothetical car engineer will figure it out.
Yeah, you just put a little compressor in there.
I do want to touch on a couple more things that I explored that didn't quite work for me. So the obvious thing was, can you do it like the movie Up and just get float your house and just get like all this real estate back? I had this image of like you buy your like 50 by 100 suburban plot and then you just put an anchor in the middle of it. And then there's like a rope, like, 20 or 30 feet up, and then your house is floating there. So you have a whole full backyard, but also still your house. And so actually, and perhaps not unsurprisingly, I'm not the first person to try and figure out how many balloons it would take to lift up a house. If you remember the image from the movie, they use about 20,000 balloons in that giant fucking bundle that is used to lift that house.
How do you know that?
An article I read specifically about could you lift a house up like in the movie House, in the movie Up. The one where a guy retires, floats his house into the sky, and then solves people's lupus problems. But the actual number that they produced for how many balloons it would need is 9.4 million party-sized balloons.
That's a lot of balloons.
So that one wasn't super practical. And that kind of the thing is helium is not that much lighter than air. Like, it's like a balloon can lift 0.05 pounds or something really, really small. So you need a lot of balloons to lift literally anything, and then it's not really great. So then my next thing I was trying to do was, I was like, I have these indestructible balloons that I can use. And I was thinking, get something, you have something super heavy you want to lift up, jack something up, put balloons under, inflate the balloon, pressurize the balloons, inflate them up to lift up the thing that you need to do. And then after doing a little bit of research, and probably for longer than it should have taken me, I realized I was literally just reinventing hydraulics.
Yep.
You're like, oh my god, it's working.
There was literally a description of hydraulics that was like, imagine a balloon. I'm like, oh fuck. So, yeah, that was some avenues that didn't quite go where I wanted them to go. Chris, what do you have for this one?
Yeah, so when I was thinking about this question, the first thing that came to mind was just the image of a person accidentally letting go of a balloon and flying up into the sky. And you're like, oh, what happens to that balloon? Usually, they float up, and since higher altitudes are less, the air is less dense, the balloon expands and it pops. But since they can't pop, it's just going to keep on going up. But eventually, the density in the balloon and the density of the air is going to equal the same amount. And it's just going to stop. So it's going to stop, just in the sky somewhere. And I found out that this is going to be, somewhere between 20 and 30 miles into the air. It depends on, the weight of the balloon. But that's in the stratosphere. So I was like, okay, so the balloons will stop in the atmosphere.
Okay.
And you'll have, cool, balloon clouds, I guess. Yeah,
there's going to be, there's probably going to be a bunch of balloons.
Yeah, so it'll be cool at first, but eventually they're gonna build up. And the problem in my head was, is it gonna be too much that it's gonna eventually block out the sun?
Our balloons will block out the sun.
Yeah. So it's okay. I looked at the diameter of the Earth, and then I added the 30 miles to that to figure out the surface area that the balloons would take up. And it turns out that you'd have 200 million balloons in order to completely surround the Earth. That's how much it would take.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
That's assuming...
That's not a lot.
Yeah. That was assuming that each balloon was 1 square foot in diameter. Wait, 1 square foot in diameter.
1 foot in diameter?
1 foot in diameter.
Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of hyperdimensional balloons are you working with?
Yeah, units get weird.
I got this new thing. It's called the indestructible tesseract balloon.
It's a balloon that also goes through time.
It's a balloon that goes through time and inflates itself.
So, okay, 200 million balloons. We don't want to get to that, but I was like, how long would it take to get to that? So I started to look at how often people let go of balloons. There are organized releases of balloons for events and stuff. So for an example, the 1984 Summer Olympics, they had a balloon release where they released a bunch of balloons. In 1985, Disneyland released 1.2 million balloons. That was to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Disneyland. And then in 1986, I think this is the biggest one, in Cleveland for Balloon Fest, they released 1.5 million balloons.
Didn't they have a whole lot of problems with that Balloon Fest? I remember reading about that.
Yeah, I remember seeing like a news report on it, and there's like all sorts of pollution problems and stuff.
It was just like their harbor, like the wind shifted of where like they were supposed to all come back down like somewhere, and then the wind shifted.
They all like went into the water somewhere, I think.
Yeah, and then all landed in the ocean. The entire bay was just all balloon shreds.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. All three of these events were organized by one guy. I guess he's like the balloon guy. He's like known to be the balloon guy, Treb Henning.
I mean, there just can't be that many people that put on 1 million balloon shows. Like,
well, he works with like the Super Bowl. He does presidential conventions, stuff like that.
Yeah, like you can't like go up to your local balloon store and like your local party city and be like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a bunch of balloons." And they're like, "Okay, how many do you need?" And you're like,
1 million.
1 million. 1 million balloons, please. And they're like, what? And you're like, 1 million balloons,
well,
please.
I think at this point, I think he like has his own balloon company, so he wouldn't be going to the store to buy balloons.
Well, I'm saying you as a person, if you wanted to go and purchase 1 million balloons, you would have you'd have to find this guy because no one else is going to be like, okay, yeah, 1 million balloons, I can do that.
Yeah, you need someone with a very particular set of skills.
Apparently, he can inflate and tie 1,000 balloons in an hour. This one guy. So
that's an incredibly sad fact to have about you.
Yeah, I know.
That's not manually though, right?
That's, I think, well, I don't know if
I would imagine it's with like compressed air or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that's with compressed air because I think there's some issues with the volume of your lungs first.
This dude has the craziest lungs you have ever seen. He had his lungs surgically replaced with canisters of helium.
His voice is super high.
It's amazing.
So I figured these like organized balloon releases would be outlawed if balloons wouldn't pop, just because of this whole blackout the sun thing.
Wait, that implies there would totally be rebels who would do it just to like piss off the government, right? That's like a form of protest.
I guess so.
Yes. But I love these balloon rebel ideas.
Would releasing like one balloon be a crime?
Well, I mean, I think just the mass balloon release would be outlawed. But like people all the time, they accidentally release balloons, right? Just like, oops, I let go. And I wanted to see how often that happens. And that statistic was very hard to find. But I did find something that I can sort of correlate to it, kind of. So I found out that 3.38% of all people with phones accidentally drop their phones. So I'm going to say those people would accidentally let go of a balloon if they had a balloon in their hand.
Okay, fair enough.
So, okay, I have a percentage of people that drop balloons. Now, how many people actually have balloons? I looked at the annual report for Party City, which is just one store that sells balloons. There are obviously other ones, but this is a pretty big one. And in 2015, they sold $74 million worth of balloons.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
That's gotta be a fun spreadsheet.
So I went to the Party City website just to find out how much each balloon costs. I found a 15-pack for $3 and a 72-pack for $8. So I averaged them out, and I said that each balloon costs 15 cents. So $74 million worth of that would be 493 million balloons per year are sold.
Wow.
So I'm gonna say that's how many people have balloons in a year. So if you apply the 3.38% to that, 16.7 million people would accidentally let go of a balloon every year. So with that number, we would reach the 200 million balloon limit in 12 years, which that's enough time to like plan ahead and try to come up with a way to prevent this. So we'd want to like clear away the balloons somehow, just like every few years go up there and like take them down. I think you guys didn't mention it, but we said that you could purposefully deflate them if you want. You could like untie it and deflate it.
Right.
Yeah, I think you have to fiddle with it and untie it. I think it has to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, you can't just pop it. You have to deflate it. So I started looking at things that could get up that high into the atmosphere, and there really aren't that many things unless you want to use like a spaceship, but I don't think a spaceship would be very useful. So the highest commercial plane ever in history was the Concorde, and that got up to 13 miles in the air. The highest military plane was the SR-71 Blackbird, and that got 16 miles into the air. So neither of those are going to work. We want to get like 20, 30 miles into the air. That's our range. But then I was thinking, the balloon's already up there. They got up there somehow. So why don't we just use balloons to get up there?
Yeah, hot air balloons.
Yeah, there are certain balloons that they have used to get up to like that range of altitude. So in 2014, Alan Eustace, he was a senior vice president at Google. He used a balloon to skydive, because he wanted to do like the highest skydive ever and break that record. So he used a balloon to go up to 25.7 miles into the air. And that was a helium balloon. So we could use that balloon to get up to the other balloons, and you could deflate them. And then that was the highest manned balloon. The highest unmanned balloon was in 2002. It's the BU-60-1 balloon. And it was made from like a polyethylene film that was 3.4 micrometers thick.
Wow. What?
And it was 2 million cubic feet in volume.
What?
Yeah.
Those like numbers like don't even make sense to my brain.
I know. And this one reached up to 32.9 miles into the air. So that's like the very upper limit of our range. So that's perfect. We can reach, I mean, that's an unmanned balloon. So we'd have to like figure something out to actually get someone onto that balloon. But I feel like this would just be a one-man job. Like one person that would go up in a balloon and manually untie every single balloon and then just like drop the deflated balloon, I guess.
I got 2 words for you, Chris.
What?
Space blimp.
I mean, is that possible?
Well, if balloons can get at least that high, those are filled with regular air. So if you fill it with hydrogen, well, yeah, you can do hydrogen because it's not going to... I guess it's still flammable, huh? So go with helium. It's not that big a difference.
I mean, that balloon I listed was the highest unmanned balloon we've ever made. So I don't know if we could get much higher.
Yeah, but there wasn't really a need to go that high with balloons until now. Like, once we have a need to get up there, we're going to make a space blimp, and it's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, we'll get up there somehow.
I mean, you got to remember, Marcus, blimping ain't easy. I've heard that before. That was my one dumb joke for the episode.
No, that's it. I'm fucking ejecting this question. We're going
good
right
call.
to the ads. That's it. The dictionary defines a fjord as a long, narrow, deep inlet of sea between high cliffs, typically formed by a submergence of a glaciated valley. But that's not our definition. We define our fjords with words like quality, long-lasting, and affordable. You won't get beautiful fjords like ours anywhere else, so stop by Bjorn's Discount Fjord Dealership. We only sell fjords with the highest cliffs and the narrowest inlets to help confound your enemies or pesky Viking neighbors. Our stick-to-the-cliff guarantee also means that you won't have any boulders falling off the cliffs onto ships below unless you want them to. Not sure what fjord is right for you? Stop by any of our fjord dealership locations and we'll set you up with one of our expert Bjorn's Fjords experts who can answer any and all your questions about fjords. It's like we were born to sell fjords.
You've tried the Stairmaster, but climbing upstairs is just too boring. You need something that puts a little spring in your step. That's why the Skipmaster is right for you. Get a good workout by gleefully skipping away those calories. Our advanced engineering allows the Skipmaster to perfectly simulate the act of skipping, so you can skip down the street without even leaving your house. The Skipmaster comes with 4 unique presets: Hopscotch, Jump Rope, Spacewalk, and Classic. Is skipping not enough? What about tap dancing? Introducing the brand new Skipmaster model, the Freda Stairmaster, for all of those tap dancing enthusiasts who need a quieter option. Order your very own Skipmaster product today, for those days you just want to skip your workout.
Personal finance is hard and full of hard questions. How will I make sure that I have enough money to retire? Will I be able to save enough to send my kids to college? How will I ever be able to afford a house? Do you know who has the answers? Like, really, do you? Because I don't. Oh, this isn't an ad for anything. I just actually have a lot of questions right now. So, like, honestly, if you have any ideas, if you could just, like, hit me up, because I'm kind of just flying blind here, and I'm very scared.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are going to go ahead and dive right into our next question, which is, who would win in a superhero fight? So, we're not saying which superhero is the best. We're not going to go into the Batman versus Superman debate, even though it's just Superman, and I don't know what you guys are arguing about. So, the way we did this is we went on our favorite website, which you may recognize from our lightning round, which is the Random Superpower Wiki. And we each randomly got 3 superpowers by hitting random page on the wiki list. So, and with those powers...
We went with, like, our first 3. We weren't allowed to, like, change them or anything.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, some of them are really dumb and weird. Mm-hmm. But we're going to make them work. We're going to find out who's going to win our superhero fight. So, the first thing is, we decided in good superhero fashion to have it in a, like a city-ish type thing. But then, like, I got kind of a nature power, so, like, there should be some plants around, or there should be some other stuff.
We can go over the battleground once we've gone through our powers to sort of preserve the element of surprise on them a little bit.
You mean we shouldn't tell them it's Central Park?
It's Central Park.
It's not very exciting.
It's not really that big of a reveal.
Surprise.
So I'm gonna go and start with my superhero. So I'm gonna start with my powers and then go into my superhero persona. So, my first power on my list that I rolled is perceptive amnesia. So, I have the power to make people forget what I look like and that I'm there if they look away from me. They can still find evidence that I was there, but if you're not looking at me, you kind of forget that I was there. For those of you who watch Doctor Who, this is basically how the silence work, which that was a super creepy episode, so this was a pretty good power to start with. My second power I got was intrametal transmutation, which is not the ability to do Magneto shit, manipulate metals, but I have the ability to turn any metal into a metal of another type. And as far as what metals are on the periodic table, it's basically the whole fucking thing, minus, like, the organics and the noble gases. Like,
right, yeah.
Like, at least 75% of it is just all in the metals category. And then my last one is nature channeling, which, the helpful description, I can channel the power of nature.
You can't just watch the nature channel? That's your thing?
Yeah, I can turn to all the nature channels. I always have a subscription. I don't even have to pay for it. And I can actually get on other people's TVs, which is really the super part about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty great, yeah.
But no, this is basically me being able to harness the power of nature around me and primarily to turn it into energy blasts.
Yeah, just vague energy blast.
Yeah, vague, like, Dragon Ball Z-esque energy blast. And actually, I think my favorite one, which is kind of how I'm imagining it, is that from Dragon Ball Z, Goku's Spirit Bomb, where he calls upon the power of all the inhabitants to lend them his energy. That was actually
on the wiki page for yours, the Spirit Bomb.
Mm-hmm, so that was, like, their example. But it has some other uses, like, it does some Fey trickster bullshit that I'm probably not really going to go into, but is also known to break spells and illusions.
Cool.
Okay. And what's your alter ego?
Yeah, so I had to go with my superhero. And this one was I realized this was actually kind of tough to do because of my perceptive amnesia. It's kind of hard to build a reputation.
That's a really good point.
Okay, so your interpretation of this, you can't control it. It's just whoever doesn't look at you forgets you.
Correct.
Okay.
Anyone who does not look at me forgets me. I do not control it. So, like, bank gets robbed, I fix it, and then people might not remember that the bank was getting robbed depending on how involved I was.
So you'd be a good villain, not a good hero.
Yeah, but we are superheroes, so I have to be a superhero. Yeah. So, I think the way my story develops is, like, I got my powers, I can shoot my energy blasts, I can manipulate metals, and I can, like, sneak up on people that don't even know I'm there anymore. So I'm gonna be pretty effective, but then I'm gonna, like, look in the newspaper next day, and, like, they're gonna be like, oh, it's not even there. It's not even gonna be in the paper. And so I think I'm just gonna, like, keep trying to one-up my own persona, like, make myself more and more memorable by going, like, way over the top. But it's just not gonna work, so eventually I'm just gonna have to give up. So I think my costume is just, like, a t-shirt and sweats, like, maximum comfort. Like, no one's gonna remember it anyway. But I still need a persona. Like, people need to call on me. So I decided the best way to actually get my superhero brand going is to video it. So I don't think a video of myself works. I'm not sure how that would work with my power. So I think I'm just going to get a GoPro. and basically I'm just gonna save the bank and then leave a tape behind of the bank robbery I just fixed. And
It'll turn into like a viral video.
It'll turn into a viral video.
Be like this mysterious hero.
And because it's a GoPro, it'll just be on my head, so I still don't have to wear a nice costume because I still don't want to be on the video, so people can watch it and remember it. And I think my superhero name is going to be Ghost Pro.
Jesus.
I like it.
All right. Ghost Pro.
Ghost Pro is fighter number 1.
Next up, Ben, tell me about your superhero.
Right. So I'm going to go with the backstory first, because I actually came up with I think it's actually a pretty good backstory. I spent a lot of time on the backstory because my powers kind of suck. So
because we're important adults with very many things to do.
Right, yeah. So I need to spend my time doing something. So I actually came up with a backstory. It is actually not just me. I actually came up with a whole character because that's apparently just a thing that I do now. So, my character was a city councilman by the name of Nicholas Penny. He had big dreams. He wanted to be high up in government, maybe even president one day. But
his friend kept calling him Dick Penny.
That's not a nickname for Nicholas.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You just get nicknames.
So he was trying a lot of things, doing a lot of stuff on social media and things, and there's not really a whole lot of traction. And then one day, he decides to try to contact a demon to try to get one of those like soul transfer deal he's going to get, just get his foot in the door.
This is hard. Can I sell my soul, please?
He makes some calls, hangs out with some Satanists or whatever, I don't know. And eventually he gets in touch with the demon. And the demon offers him, basically to give him what he wants in exchange for his soul. And what he says, he doesn't want to just say, like, I want to be president, because that's just making it too easy. He wants to do this mostly fairly still. So he says he wants to be the whip. The whip is basically a position in like a legislative group that basically their job is just to like make sure other people in their party like vote on party lines. And it's a pretty important role, but that gives him room to grow naturally afterwards and feel like he actually accomplished it. So he said he wants to be the whip and affect change, in the world. But unfortunately, the demon had just had like a head cold, and his ears were kind of stopped up. His hearing wasn't all that great at the time. So when he said be the whip, he thought he said he wanted demon whips. And he actually heard affect change correctly, but he just thought he meant like coins. So,
oh my god,
his
man,
powers.
I fucking hate this. I knew because I could see it coming when you started.
We already know your powers.
It was so good, yeah. Because these guys knew my powers, so they could see it all set up from the beginning and hated me the entire time. You, the viewer, only hate me now.
You've only just learnned the hate. I was born into it.
So his powers, by the way, his name is #change. His powers are, probably the most useful one is coin construction, which is basically he can just like manipulate coins into other things. And from the things I was talking about, it looked like he could also do like sort of Magneto-y shit, but just for coins. Which isn't super useful, but
it's a super weird power.
It's a really weird power, and hands down the best one and most useful one that I have, so I'm rolling with it. So coin manipulation, or coin constructs, excuse me. So yeah, make object out of coins, manipulate coins, things like that. And then sort of the kind of combined into one power of demonic whip generation, which is just can like manifest a whip out of demonic energy.
It's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, right? And then athletic combat, which is, I guess, just like doing flips and shit. So that's cool.
Parkour.
Yeah.
Parkour.
Like, it's like, I'm not gonna like, it's pretty cool. I'm sure I would be very popular with like 13-year-old boys because I have like demon whips and backflips and stuff. But like, it's maybe not the most, compared to some of the stuff that you guys are throwing out there, maybe not the most impactful power. So kind of my only real hope here is to sort of just hope you guys get distracted, and then I can just sneak up and like whip you. So that's kind of it. Yeah. So Chris, what do you have?
Okay, so for mine, I didn't come up with like a backstory or anything, but I'll just go straight into my powers. So my first power is totality connection. And this allows me to travel basically to just like any reality. So like I was including like fictional realities and stuff. So I can like go to like the Super Mario University. University.
The Super Mario University, where you learn how to jump good and stomp on mushrooms.
I am a graduate of Super Mario University.
Super Mario Universe, if I want to. I could go to like the Superman universe, something like that. So that's my first power. My second power is sealing magic, where I can like seal certain like entities into objects or something. I didn't really understand this power that well, but
to be clear for this audio medium, sealing SEAL, not CEIL.
Not like a roof.
Sealing. Sealing
It's
magic.
funny. It's funny. Sarah said the same thing when I was talking to her about it. She's like Chris has sealing magic. She's like, looks up. I'm like, what?
I can control your ceiling.
Which might be good. That might not be a bad.
That might be
power.
more useful than coin constructs.
Yeah. I mean, this one wasn't that useful to me. I didn't really use it that much, but I have it though, so that's good. And then my third power is Thoughtless Complete Arsenal. And this is an interesting power because it basically means I have every single power imaginable, but then the second that the person I'm fighting consciously thinks of a power, I lose that power.
Flying, eye lasers, indestructibility.
Yeah, so if I'm fighting you and I use like a fireball, then we'd be like, ooh, a fireball, and then I can't use the fireball anymore.
Right.
So that's not that, I mean, it could be good, I guess. And the name that I came up with based on the alternate reality thing was Captain Crossover.
Nice.
Because I can go to different fictional universes.
So we have hashtag change, Captain Crossover, and what was yours,
Ghost
Marcus?
Pro.
Ghost Pro.
Ghost
That's right.
Pro.
How'd I forget that?
Well, yeah, because you weren't looking at me.
Oh, you're right.
All about it.
It's already working.
All right, so setting the stage, I guess. I guess I'll start setting the stage here. So, Central Park. All of us are there. Maybe not too many pedestrians around, because they are always conspicuously absent when shit actually goes down.
Right.
Because murdering civilians ain't great for comic strips, I've heard.
Nope.
So I'm going to start, I guess, with my strategy, and I'll let you guys take it from there. So my first step is to just get, like, immediately out of sight, which I think will depend more on what you guys are doing. But once I'm out of sight, I'm going to find one of those nice statues that are around Central Park, like one of those big metal statues.
Yeah.
First step is I'm going to turn it to gallium, which is super soft, so that I can get behind it, pull it open, and get inside. Then I'm going to make it super hard, steel on the outside. So I'm going to use my intrametal transmutation to build myself a hidey hole.
So you're just going to be like trapped in this statue?
Yeah, but you guys won't know because you'll have forgotten all about it. And then basically, I can just one-up Goku because I can make a big old spirit bomb, but I'm not just standing in the fucking middle of the sky waiting for you to punch me. So I think I'm just going to do that and then just generate a humongous energy blast. And since I'm protected in the statue, I'm just going to blow up as much of Central Park as I can.
I think a statue would not survive that.
A very good steel statue would be pretty safe, I'll say.
Okay.
There's technically he could slip out of the statue and run out of the park and then throw the bomb back in.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to not kill myself with my own bomb. I'm going to assume that I can. I guess we'll see where it goes.
If a bomb hits Central Park, everything's going to die, but all the statues will be fine.
Well, the nice thing about that Dragon Ball Z energy bombs is that they're always exactly as big as they need to be.
Exactly.
Like they can cover half the fucking planet and like it just leaves like a regular hole in the ground, or they could be like tiny and destroy the whole planet. It really is very inconsistent. So I guess I'm kind of just rolling the dice with whether my energy blast actually does anything. It's going to depend on the narrative arc.
So I actually have I thought of exactly one cool thing I could do to counter one of your guys. So I have nothing I can do against Chris. I got no shot. But I have one.
You can think of lots of powers.
That's true. I have one neat strategy I can pull against Marcus. Which is that I can construct things out of coins. So I can basically, reshape those coins into something else. I can make them into mirrors and keep them around so I can always see you. I can just always basically keep you in the corner of my eye at least and not lose track of you.
That's a good plan. That's a solid plan.
It's a solid plan. Which, by the way, you point out that you decided you could only use your metal transmutation thing on things you touch. Save my ass there. Because if you could just do it from a distance, you just turn them all into something non-reflective and there goes
Yeah.
I could turn your mirror into like plutonium and you can have a bad time.
Exactly. Yeah. So, other than that, my strategy is pretty simple because I just am a guy who can fight real good with whips. So,
I mean, I don't have, honestly, like, if you like one-on-one fight me, I don't have a lot of good, like, fighting stuff. Like,
right, if I can get up close to you, Marcus, I can do something. But
Yeah, Marcus' strategy is just to hide, I guess.
it's a pretty good strategy.
it's a pretty good
thank you.
strategy. I'm hoping the mirrors can, mostly neutralize that. But
Okay, my strategy is I'm basically not really going to use two of my powers. Like the Sealing Magic, I'm not going to use. And the Thoughtless Complete Arsenal is okay. It's unreliable, though. I don't really want to rely on it. So the main power I'm going to use is Totality Connection. And I'm actually going to do this before the fight. It's like prep for the fight. I'm going to go to different fictional universes. And I want to get like weapons and stuff and armor. And there are a lot of powerful weapons out there, but a lot of them are like owned by super powerful people. So I was thinking of getting like the Infinity Gauntlet, but I don't think I'd be able to get that.
right.
So the first thing I'm going to get is the NZT-48 drug from the movie Limitless. If you saw that movie, but
Yeah.
that drug makes you like super smart. And one of the effects of that drug is called perfect recall. So you remember every single thing that you've experienced ever.
Ooh, is this a direct counter? Time to check the rulings, because sometimes they
It
actually
is.
do have rulings of.
I actually did get it from your wiki page. So like
That's
under
hilarious.
your, it's not listed on your, so under your limitations, there's something called Pamnesia, which is like the ability to know everything. So I clicked on that, and on that page, this drug was on there.
There you go.
So this counters your power. So I have that. So I'm super smart. I want armor though. So, but I want armor that's not metal because you can control metal. So I went to the Crisis. There's a video game called Crisis, and they have a nanosuit armor, which is not made of metal. It's made of semi-organic artificial muscle. And this armor also they're like different modes. So there's armor mode, which can absorb physical damage, heat damage, radiation, and energy blasts. There's strength mode, which makes you stronger, triples your jumping height. There's speed mode, so I have superhuman speed. And there is cloak mode, so I can turn invisible.
God, Crisis was a great game.
Yeah, I never actually played it, but
That's pretty fun.
this armor
Pretty
is
good.
super useful for me. So that's my armor. Now I need weapons, and I chose two weapons. So the first weapon, I'm going to go to the Star Wars universe because they have lightsabers. And you might be thinking that most lightsabers have a metal hilt, which you're right. But there is one. So in the Clone Wars show, there is a Wookiee in training to become a Jedi. And he has a lightsaber made out of Brylock tree wood, which is just as strong as metal, but it's not metal, it's wood. So I'm going to get this lightsaber. And that'll be weapon number one.
I need more than all the powers I could possibly imagine that you can't imagine, and a lightsaber, and
And then weapon number two, I'm going to Hogwarts, because I'm going to get myself a magic wand. And while I'm at Hogwarts, I'm going to learn some magic, because another effect of the drug is instant learning. So I can learn all the spells super fast. So just an example of some of the spells that I have. Obliviate erases target's memory. So that's very helpful for actually my complete arsenal thing.
Oh,
Thoughtless
yeah.
Complete arsenal. Bombarda creates explosions. Expelliarmus disarms things. Expecto Patronum is like a defensive spell. And then the unforgivable curses are Crucio, which inflicts extreme pain. Imperio, which is mind control. And Avada Kedavra, which is, it just instantly
people.
kills you.
Yeah, that one.
So I have all these spells. I have a wooden lightsaber, and I have super armor, and I'm super smart.
Well, and there's one thing I'm gonna need you to do, Chris. We'll do this D&D style. Can you roll a 20-sided die for me?
I do not have one.
You can Google can you just roll 1d20 in Google? Does that work?
Let's see.
It might actually.
Roll a d20 die. Roll. I got 20.
That sounds right. that tracks with how the rest of this experiment has gone.
Yeah, wow. I was gonna say if you got a 1, you would have had the shitty wand that Ron had that was broken, that backfired. It would have obliviated yourself, and then your total recall would have been gone. And then we would have been back on even territory. But getting a critical success on a 20 means that you get, like, literally the best one.
Yeah, that backfired on your plan.
Yeah, my plan of your plan just falling apart by itself did not go so well. Wow. So, definitely on the cereal mascot fight, I felt there was things I could do.
Yeah, I'm actually super happy with this one because I felt like I got the short stick on Count Chocula in the cereal fight.
Yeah.
Well, you picked Count Chocula.
I did.
That's true. We were naive then.
Yeah, we're naive. Now Chris knows what's up in the random number generator. Oh man, I can cause explosions in water by converting trace metals into alkali metals, which are super reactive, and that blows shit up. But I don't think that's getting through the fucking super armor. Or the spells.
I don't really know the limitations of the super armor. But obviously, in the video game, you can die.
I wonder, the demonic whip might be effective against it. Because I feel like it's designed to stop,
Yeah, it could, but I feel like the demonic whip is something that I could seal away. That's
right.
Seems
well,
like,
I mean, or alternatively, you could straight up just kill me with any number of things before I get close enough.
Yeah, that's true too.
Well, Ben, you can shoot your coins out, right?
That's true.
So what if we tag teamed to start?
I think that's your best chance is if you team up.
If we team up.
So what if you throw coins by my way? You get a line of coins going through my way. I touch the coins briefly and turn them into oh man, there's a lot of good shit like Einsteinium or a lot of radioactive type stuff, which is probably not going to be the feel goods. Oh, is your armor organic, right, Chris?
My armor absorbs radiation.
Is it organic?
It's semi-organic. I don't know what that means. I mean, it's a fictional thing, so the rules are kind of
what
not
the hell
clear.
does semi-organic actually mean?
It's mostly plants, I guess.
I don't know.
Well, I can still use alkali metals because it's just water is the trigger for turning alkali metals into chain reaction explosions.
Yeah, so you can still make explosions around me and stuff.
Well, I can make explosions on your armor. That's at least it's semi-organic, so it's got to have some water somewhere. So we get a stream of the total recall is a problem.
The total recall is kind of a problem
because that just completely nullifies your power.
Ben, I think we need the narrative arc where I'm the only chance is the spirit bomb, and you go and go Yamcha and sacrifice yourself by fighting Chris and distracting him for as long as possible.
I mean, that is the best. Yeah, I just swarm him with coins and distract him.
You need to distract me.
Yeah.
The thing is, with the drug, I think it would be very hard to distract me.
Right.
Because I'm basically 100% focused all the time.
This is true. He's using 100% of his brain.
I forgot to mention that in the Limitless movie, there are bad side effects to the drug, but they made a TV show afterwards where there's an immunity shot which nullifies all the bad side effects. So I get the immunity shot too.
God, why did that TV show get made? Jesus.
Yeah, why fuck? I mean, I like how you had two powers that gave you all the powers.
I mean, even beyond the fact that it hoses us now. Why did they make a Limitless TV show, guys?
Yeah.
Who was asking for that?
They're what's our budget for this TV show? Limitless. And ha ha ha.
No, wait, sorry, that was the title. It's $8.
It's okay, we couldn't afford writers. What if all the bad stuff from Limitless was gone? Would that make people happy? People seem to hate the limitations.
We can't actually pay Bradley Cooper, so we're going to just put a picture of him, a Polaroid.
I think Bradley Cooper was in the first episode.
Yeah, probably. That's all I could afford. Anyway.
Ah, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's actually kind of why I wanted to do my strategy last, because I felt like it shuts down all of your strategies.
This is 100%. I feel like with either really any of your powers, if you wanted to, you could kind of just
Yeah, you could have also been I have the memory power, and I'd be like, fuck.
Yep.
Yeah, I almost did that, but then I knew that would stir up arguments with you, probably.
Well, I guess I could think of your memory power, and then you would forget that you had the memory power, but what power? What fuck?
That's the argument loop I was thinking of, but you can't do that with the drug.
Right.
Hold on. Let's see.
Marcus has ideas.
Okay, so my nature channeling can reverse or remove spells.
Okay. I don't have any... you can reverse my wand, I guess.
Yeah, so I can destroy the wand. Ben, I'm helping.
I still have a lightsaber.
Yeah, the lightsaber's kind of a problem.
What if he never sees me in the first place? I just normal hide until I get my spirit bomb going. Ben, how many mirrors can you make?
I mean, theoretically, a lot. I mean,
It depends on how many coins.
how many coins I have. Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have that much money from my can't be identified and Ghost Pro personality.
So I mean, part of the reason we did Central Park was because there were trees and shit around for you, but also there was like a bank nearby or something,
there
probably.
Are banks
so
and stuff around.
I guess you're like ripping coins out of banks. I'm a real good superhero.
I mean, I think this was just decided. Like, if we're seriously taking taking our own show seriously, which superhero would win in a fight? I think this one is just.
It's 100%
99% Chris.
It's
or 95% Chris. We needed him to roll a 1.
Yeah, we can do the percentage thing like we did with the cereal thing, because the cereal one, Lucky, was obvious.
I would say 95% Chris, 4% Marcus, 1% me. And 1% is generous for me.
Yeah, I'm going to say 95% Chris. So 95% Chris.
Taking me out of the equation. Between you guys.
Between me and Ben. So he's got the mirror.
So I think
Assuming
between
that,
me and you, I have a decent shot.
Yeah, so it's going to be coins against energy blasts. And I think you're a little bit more, like, you're more agile than I am. Like, I'm just a dude.
Once again, flips and shit.
So there's no way to counter your forgetting power.
The mirrors.
Well, he has the mirror gun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mirrors. Right.
That was like the one bit of tech I had.
So I guess the real question is, and this would be my decision on my own power. So I can make bright light with my kinetic energy.
Right.
So I could blind you for momentarily, which should technically be enough for you to forget me.
True.
But that seems a little bullshit. So I'm going to say 60-40, you can keep your mirror on me, is my thought. So 95% Chris, 3% you, 2% me.
See, I don't think it actually works out that cleanly, though, because I feel like you have a much better route to beating Chris than I do. So even though in the times when I can beat you, I will usually lose to Chris.
No. Chris... The way the 5% is Chris rolled a 1 on his wand check.
Oh,
and,
I see what you're saying.
He blew himself up.
That makes sense. Okay, I feel you now. All right, I accept your math in this situation.
95-3, then 2.
Yes, not last.
I agree with that.
Amazingly, Ghost Pro is the loser.
It's all right. No one will remember it happened.
Yeah, no memorial for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, fading into actual obscurity.
Yep.
No one will miss me when I'm gone. All right, I think that just about does it for this episode then. We actually got a full way consensus on this one.
Yeah. Hashtag change 2020.
Hashtag change 2020. Hashtag changing questions next week. And those questions are going to be, what if there was no wind? And what if sugar and salt swapped? If you have any questions, comments, or your own hypothetical idea you want us to answer, let us know. You can reach us by email at absurdhypotheticals@gmail.com. Send us a tweet at absurdhype. That's HYPE hype. Visit our website, www.nerdchomp.com/absurdhypotheticals. And if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps out the show and lets us keep making it for you.